Om Sahana Vavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om. We are now studying the Brahma Sutras, the fourth sutra of the Brahma Sutras, and we are trying to understand Bhagavad Pada Shankaracharya Deva's commentary on the Brahma Sutra. Now, here Shankaracharya, he is bringing an interesting point that Brahman cannot be associated with any activity, because Brahman, the ultimate reality, which is our true nature, that cannot be connected or associated with any kind of activity. And irrespective of whether that activity has been prescribed by the Vedas or whether that activity is some kind of sacred activity because it is being prescribed by a religious text, that is the Vedas. He says, Nacha vidikriya karmatvena karya anupravesho brahmanah anyadeva tad viditat atho aviditadadhi kena Upanishad iti vidikriya karmatva pratishedhat yena idam sarvam vijanati tam kena vijaniyat Brihadaranyaka Upanishad iti cha. Nacha, further, moreover, vidhi, not vidhi, the, it is the first, the vidhi. Vidhi means knowledge, to know, knowing. Vidhi kriya karmatvena. So by being a karma, karma means object, subject, object, the things which we are accustomed to use in the structure of a sentence. So if vidhi kriya, that is the act of knowing, becomes the object, karya anupravesha, the anupravesha, involvement or association of karya, that which has to be performed, karya, that which has to be performed, brahmanah, in Brahman. So nacha means further it is not possible or it cannot be so that with Brahman we associate the action, karya, something which has to be performed. What is the reference here? In the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, we saw it is said, Shrotavya Mantavya Nididhyasitavya. That means it has to be heard, reflected upon, contemplated upon. So, Shrotavyo Mantavyo Nididhyasitavya. So, one of the arguments of the Mimamsaka Purva Paksha opponent, who follows the school of Mimamsa, Purva Mimamsa, one of the arguments was that since Vedas get their purposefulness by being an instrument or by instigating or by impelling people to do or not to do something, therefore even the contemplation on Brahman can be seen as an action prescribed by the Vedas, because in the Upanishads we see Shrotavya Mantavya Nididhyasitavya, that it has to be heard, it has to be reflected upon, it has to be contemplated upon. So here, that is the position, or that is the standpoint which is being rejected by Bhagavad-pada Shankaracharya. He says that even if it is an act of knowing, even if that is about knowledge, karya anupraveshaha cannot be accepted. That means any association of activity which has to be performed. Karya means that which has to be done. Brahmanaha, in Brahman, that cannot be accepted. Why? He quotes from the Kena Upanishad, Anyad eva, definitely something different. Tat, it or that. Viditat, from what is known. So, from what is known, it is definitely something different. Athaha means also, aviditat adhi. It is also aviditat, from what is not known, adhi, different. Iti. So here, what do we know generally? We know things which we know. There are two types of knowledge in this world. One is that which we know. Another one is which we do not know. So some things we know, many things we don't know. But the Kena Upanishad says that is the ultimate reality, the ultimate truth, Atman or Brahman, is different from what we know, and it is also different from what we don't know. What kind of explanation is that? Quite confusing, one might say. So here the idea is, generally what we know involves what is called in Sanskrita Triputi Bheda. The known, that which is known, and the process of knowing, and the person who is knowing. So that is so because what we know is known through means of knowledge using our sense organs and the mind. So there is medium of sense organs and the mind, and that is how we know. As we have seen earlier also, it is called Paroksha Jnana. But the knowledge of Brahman is beyond any means of knowledge. Knowledge of Brahman does not involve any sense organ or mind. And so, the knowledge of Brahman is different from what we know, because whatever we have known is through the mind and the sense organs. And it is also different from what we have not known, because what we have not known also, if we know, we will know it only through the mind and sense organs. So mind and sense organs are necessary. They are the medium to have a empirical knowledge. Knowledge of anything other than Brahman, mind and sense organs are necessary. Whereas to know Brahman, or to be aware of Brahman, one has to go beyond or transcend the mind and the sense organs. So it is different from what we know also, and it is different from what we do not know also, because generally what we don't know, we know through the mind and the sense organs. That's how we come to know. But here, Brahman cannot be known through the mind and the sense organs. So here, Vidik iti, in this manner, Vidik kriya karmatva pratishedat. Karmatva, the state of being an object of Vidik kriya, the act of knowing, pratishedat, has been prohibited or has been denied. So what has been denied? It has been rejected that Brahman can be it. Brahman can be the object of the act of knowing. So Brahman cannot be the outcome of anything. That is the idea. Brahman cannot be the result of anything. Let it be an act of knowing also. So if somebody were to say, Swamiji, I am very happy today because I have got the knowledge of Brahman. And how I have got the knowledge of Brahman? By reading this whatever little Brahma Sutra class I already got. So that will be wrong, because whatever we are studying is happening at the level of mind and the sense organs. And so this is impermanent, temporary. So it cannot give rise to something which will be real, which will be permanent. So the knowledge of Brahman is real because Brahman is real. So it cannot be the outcome of, this knowledge of Brahman cannot be the outcome of something which is unreal, which will be absurd. So that is why all kinds of knowledge which are produced by temporary means are different from the knowledge of Brahman, which is not produced by anything. It simply is there already. So this ignorance, if it is removed, this knowledge becomes self-evident. Swata pramana, swata siddha. It is self-evident. It is self-evident. Means it is automatically, it will come out. Nobody needs to see it, or there is no necessity of any other thing to be dependent upon. So by this Kena Upanishad quotation, it has been rejected that the Brahman is the object of the act of knowing. It is not. Brahman is not the object of the act of knowing, or Brahman is not produced because of the act of knowing. So Brahman cannot be the object of the act of knowing. Yena idam sarvam vijanati tam kena vijanyati ticha. Also, yena, by whom idam sarvam vijanati. By whom idam sarvam, all this, means all this universe. Vijanati is known. Vijanati, vishesha rupena janati. Is known, very clearly known. Is known very clearly. Tam. So by whom all this is known very clearly. Tam kena vijanyat. So how kena, by what means can tam vijanyat, we know that person? So through what everything in this world is known, or all this universe is known, by what can we know that? That's the question. By what can we know that? So this question is an interesting question. I want to know that by which all of this is known. This question itself is asked in a different manner in the Upanishads itself. Kasminno bhagavan vijñāte sarvamidam vijñātam bhavatam. Vijñātam bhavati iti. By knowing what do I know all of this universe? Kasminnu bhagavan. Bhagavan, sir. O sir, kasminnu vijñāte. Knowing what do I know? Sarvamidam vijñātam bhavati. All of this I will know. So give me one. That question was asked by Albert Einstein also. Albert Einstein, towards the end of his life, he was in the quest to know one force which will explain all forces of this universe. Then he said that is the unified field, something he said. Then people started doing research. What is that one force? So there were 4 basic forces. Then they reduced the number of 4 forces, basic forces, to 3. Then they said, what is the force which will explain these 3 forces? That one force which explains 3 forces. Still they are searching. So they went to string theory, then M theory, then parallel universe, so many ideas, so many theories, but still they are searching. That is the exact question which the Rishi is also asked by the disciple. What is it, knowing which all of this can be known? The same question is asked in a different manner here. Yena sarvamidam vijanati. This is the obverse of that same question. Tam kena vijaniyat. How to know that by which all of this is known? Same question. If what is that knowing which I know everything else. So here the question is, by which all of this is known, how to know that? So in this case also, the idea is by which all of this is known. That means Brahman. Brahman by which all of this is known. How can I know that Brahman clearly? The idea is, that means Brahman supersedes the act of knowing. By which all of this is known. That means that by which all of this is known is behind the act of knowing. That means it is the substratum, or it is the basis of the act of knowing. That which is the basis of the act of knowing cannot be the product of act of knowing. I don't suppose it is becoming confusing. Suppose you say, it's like chicken egg story. How does the chicken come? Chick comes from the egg. Where does the egg come from? From chicken. So that cannot, it is called anavastha dosham. Ad infinite regress. Infinite regress it is called. In Latin it is called ad infinitum regressum, like that. So infinite regress means what? You go back, there is no end. You go on, go to the back. So effect is produced from the cause is produced from the effect, like that it goes on. It's absurd. So like that, if Brahman is behind the act of knowing, how do you know Brahman? Obviously, it goes without saying that you cannot know Brahman through the act of knowing which is caused by Brahman. So to know Brahman, you have to go beyond the act of knowing. Only then you will know Brahman. In a very simple example, if you want to test a person who has studied BSc, you have to have studied more than BSc, or you have to have studied BSc many times. That means you should have more experience of teaching and evaluation. Only then you will be able to evaluate a person who has studied BSc. Similarly, if a person is studying MSc, to evaluate that person, one has to have studied MSc and had lot of experience, or that person should have studied more than that, MPhil or PhD, like that. To evaluate a person who is doing PhD, then that person should have done PhD and also have put on lot of years, many years of guiding PhD students or research, like that. So if you want to understand something, you have to go beyond that. Only then you can understand that. So if the Upanishad says that by which all of this is known, how to know that? That means you have to transcend what is known. Only then you will know that which is beyond. Another example, suppose there is a laser projector we use so much nowadays. Many mobile phones, from there itself you can project, like that is also there. So this laser projector, if you are projecting it on a screen, how will you know the screen? Suppose you are watching say something projection is going on, and you think that the screen has got some stain. It happens. So now how will you locate the stain? You cannot locate the stain when the projection is going on, because that film will come and you will not know whether it is in the film or it is in the screen. So whether it is on the screen or in the film, you will not know. So you have to first stop the film and then you will see the screen. It happens in the desktop computer or laptop also. Sometimes you see you're watching something or you're working and suddenly you find some spot. Suppose you're working in a document. You find some spot. You say, hey, this was not supposed to come. You press delete. It will not go because it is not in the document. It is on the screen. So how will you know whether it is in the document or the screen? Then you switch off the screen. Then you will say, oh, this is on the screen. So then you take some cleaning solution and wipe it. That means if you are at the level of that which has been produced, you cannot understand the cause. So you have to transcend that which has been produced and go to the cause level. Then you can understand the cause. That is the idea here. So that is why using this logic, we can easily understand that Brahman cannot be the effect of an action, even though that action may be the action of knowing something. So I can, if I want to study calculus, I can ask somebody to teach me calculus. I can buy some good book and I can study. So this is the act of knowing. I am putting that act and I will get that knowledge of calculus, which is a temporary knowledge, but anyway, I will get the knowledge of calculus. Whereas the knowledge of Brahman, I cannot get like that, because it is not the product of any act of knowing. Tatha, similarly, upasti kriya karmatva pratishedo api bhavati. So two objections or two standpoints of Mimamsaka philosopher have been rejected here. One is that, okay, in the Upanishads it has been said, Shrotavyo, Mantavyo, Nidhyasitavyo. So we will say that yes, Brahman is heard of and it is thought of and it is contemplated upon, etc. So that has been rejected. Another standpoint or another thought which was there of the Purva Mimamsa opponent was that Brahman can be an object of contemplation, upasana. There are many contemplation, many prayers in the Vedas. So Brahman can be an object of contemplation of the Vedas. So that is also here rejected. Tatha, likewise. Likewise means using the same kind of logic or argument. Upasti kriya karmatva. The state of being the karma or the object of upasti kriya. Upasti kriya means contemplation. Upasti kriya means the act of contemplation. So pratishedaha api bhavati. That is also denied. So it is also denied that Brahman is the object of the action of contemplation. Why? Shankaracharya quotes from Kena Upanishad itself. He says, Yad vacha anabhyuditam yena vak abhyudyate. So, Yad vacha anabhyuditam yena vak abhyudyate. From Kena Upanishad. That means, vacha anabhyuditam. That which cannot be vacha anabhyuditam. That which cannot be abhyuditam, expressed. Anabhyuditam cannot be expressed. That which cannot be expressed by vacha, speech. That vacha means by speech. That which cannot be expressed by speech. Yena vag abhyudyate. And by which speech is expressed or speech is revealed. So that by which speech is revealed, but that which cannot be expressed by speech. So the same logic what I just told. If something is there which is the cause for expression of speech, to know that thing, you have to go beyond speech. So that is why through that thing or through that entity here, Brahman is not just entity, we know. It's the ultimate principle. So by Brahman, speech is expressed. But speech cannot express Brahman. Because speech cannot express its cause. No effect can express its cause. Effect is a manifestation of cause. No effect can express its cause. It cannot say, it cannot take you to the cause. Cause can take you to the effect. Similarly, vak, yena vak abhyudyate, by which speech is revealed or expressed, by which speech comes into existence. That is Brahman. Yad vacha anabhyuditam, by which speech, that which cannot be expressed by speech. So this is this kind of seemingly contradictory thing which is told in the Kenopanishad. So iti, in this manner, avishayatvam brahmana upanyasya, having told or having explained or having presented the avishayatvam brahmana, brahmanaha avishayatvam, that is the state of not being an object. Vishaya means object, not being an object, or the absence of being an object, absence of the state of being an object of Brahman. So that Brahman is not the object. Upanyasya, having stated that, further the Upanishad says, what does it say? Tadeva Brahma tvam viddhi na idam yadidam upasate. Tadeva Brahmam tvam viddhi. Tad eva, that alone, or like for us Indians, it is that alone and all what? That only. That we are so comfortable. That only. So that only you should, Brahma tvam viddhi. You should know, viddhi, tvam viddhi, you know that alone to be Brahman. Na idam yadidam upasate. So that alone is Brahman and not yadidam na idam upasate. Not this which is contemplated upon. So when the Upanishad says not this, that means not what is seen, not what is seen and what is contemplated upon. So here it is very clear. The Upanishad is very clear. Nadam yadidam upasate. What is contemplated upon is not Brahman. Very clear. There cannot be a clearer statement about this. So Shankaracharya just quotes it and says, see, Upanishad says that which is contemplated upon is not Brahman. So you cannot say that Brahman is the object of contemplation, because it is against what is said in the Vedas, in the Upanishad. So after very carefully and very intelligently and in a very simple manner, simple language, the greatness of Shankaracharya is that his language has been called as Prasanna Gambhiram. Prasanna means simple. Prasanna has got many meanings, but here it means simple. Gambhiram, profound. Simple yet profound. And afterwards, when you read other acharyas, other people who have written commentaries, many people, it seems, have written commentaries. After reading their commentary, we feel they want to show that they know the language. They are exhibiting. Usually scholars, the sign or lakshana of a scholar is, a scholar speaks and nobody should understand. That means a great scholar. Okay. True incident, Swamiji gave some lectures in Harvard University. And then two people were listening to that lecture. And they were also studying or teaching also there. So one person said, what is this? I was told that I was to hear an Indian scholar. I was told, and it does not appear like a scholar. The other person asked, why do you say this? I can understand every word what he speaks. Each and every word clearly I can understand. How is a scholar? So Swami Vivekananda is not a scholar because he can understand. There is no jargon, nothing. So that is why by that yardstick, Shankaracharya is also no scholar because you can understand very clearly what he says. Anyway, avishayatve brahmanah shastra yonitva anupapattihi iti chet na. Iti chet means like this, if somebody were to object or if were to be told what? Avishayatve brahmanah, of Brahman, the state of not being an object. That means Brahman is not an object of either the act of knowing or the act of contemplation. That has been proven just now. So if that is the case, then there is one sutra we saw. This is the fourth sutra we are seeing. So the sutra is, we saw Shastra Yonitvat. We saw one sutra, Shastra Yonitvat. Shastra Yoni. That means the source of the knowledge of Brahman is what? It is Shastra. Shastra means here Vedas. That was the third sutra we saw, Shastra Yonitvat. So here, if someone were to object, oh, you are saying that Brahman is not the object of act of knowing. Very good. It is also not the object of act of contemplation. Better. Very good. So then, in the third sutra, you are saying Shastra Yonitvat. So Brahman, the means of knowing Brahman is Vedas. Wait a minute. You are saying on the one hand that Brahman cannot be the object of knowing. And then you are saying means of knowing Brahman is Vedas. What is this? Contradictory. Like that, if somewhere were to object, if someone were to present this kind of objection, then no, that is not correct or that is not valid. Why not valid? Avidya kalpita bheda nivritti paratvad shastrasya. Avidya kalpita bheda. Bheda or the distinction which is kalpita. Kalpita means imagined, which is imagined. It is not there, it is imagined. Snake, was it there? No. Rope was there. You imagine the snake on the rope. So similarly, because of avidya, because of maya, because of ajnana, because of adhyasa, you imagine bheda, distinction, and nivritti paratvat shastrasya. So that bheda, that distinction which you imagine, that has to be eliminated. That is the goal of Shastra. Shastra means Vedas. So the goal of the Shastra or Veda is to eliminate or remove the difference or distinction which is falsely imagined. That has to be removed. Why imagined? Because of avidya, because of ignorance. Now, so that means what? Sri Ramakrishna says, to remove a thorn, you need another thorn. Take one thorn is removed by another thorn, then finally throw both the thorns away. You don't keep a thorn as a souvenir because it will prick. So you remove one thorn with another thorn. So here Shastra is a thorn and this avidya is another thorn. So you remove one thorn with another thorn and throw both away. So Shastra, that is the idea why Shastra Yonitvat. Because Brahman does not need any pramana. Brahman does not need any evidence. It is the covering upon Brahman which needs the tool of Shastra to remove it. Ajnana Nasha requires Shastra, not Brahma Jnana requires Shastra. That is the idea. See, if somebody studies the commentary of Shankaracharya on the first 4 sutras, including the Adhyasa Bhashya, all the questions which are again and again asked in seemingly scholarly fora will all be answered. But what is the problem? People don't have patience to study. Also, even if they have studied, they have to show their scholarship. So they have to talk in a language which people don't understand. And otherwise, how they will become scholar? Otherwise, here everything has been The normal general questions, people who have not studied also, they ask question, how if avidya is there, then this happens, that happens. All that has been explained here very clearly. So Shastrasya avidya kalpita bheda nivritti paratvat. Para means aim. Because of it having aim of removing the distinction or the difference created by ignorance or avidya. Nahi shastram idantaya vishaya bhutam brahma pratipipadayishati. Nahi, also not. What not? Not also shastram, Veda, idantaya vishaya bhutam brahma pratipipadayishati. Pratipipadayisha means desire to explain. Pratipipadayishati means does not desiring to explain. So na pratipipadayishati means does not desire to explain. What does not desire to explain? The Shastra, that means Vedas, they don't want to explain. That means they don't explain. The idea is they don't explain. They don't explain Brahman as idantaya, as this. So what is this? That which is in front of you is this. It can be anything. If something is in front of you, it is this. When you can show something and say this, automatically it is different from you. It is different from you. Not only that, it is seen. That means it becomes an object of sense perception. It becomes an object of paroksha jnana, external knowledge. So the Vedas do not intend to show or present Brahman as this. In fact, they don't say this. They say that. Why that? Because it is not this, that is why it is that. Not because it is that, it is that. Now, I'm not wanting to confuse you. You see, usually when do we say this idam, tat idam? Tat means that. Now just imagine tat, and in English it is that. I have told this many places, probably here also I might have told, I don't remember. In English it is that, in Sanskrita it is tat. Now why should not somebody think that it is coming from Sanskrita? Tat and that. Anyway, so tat means that which is far from my vision. So it is that which I cannot see. Either it is little far I can see, or it is beyond my range of vision. Then I use the word tat or that. Idam is used when something is near me. I can see it very near me, and I say this. Take this away and bring that here, like that. So there is some chair somebody has kept, in which if you sit, then you will fall, like that. Some people might have intentionally kept. You say, hey, take this away and bring that here. So the good chair is there, some sofa type of chair, you bring that. So that is away from you. So you bring that here. This is near you. Take this away from me. This is how this idam, that is this, and tat, that are used. But Brahman is not that or this. Why? Because Brahman is not far also, it is not near also. In fact, Upanishad mantras say that it is not far, it is not near, it is not away, it is not near you, etc. So then why are we using the word Tattvam Asi? You are that. Always, why is the Upanishads using the word Tat? Because it is beyond Paroksha Jnana. It is beyond the knowing which we generally know. So because it is beyond in that sense, Tat, not in the sense of it is far from you. So, but never the Upanishad uses the word this for Brahman. It does not use. It uses this word this always for the world. Why? Because it is not Brahman. It is how Brahman has been wrongly understood. Sarvam khalu idam Brahma. Idam sarvam khalu Brahma. All this is indeed Brahman. All this is indeed Brahman means what? So why don't you say all this is indeed Brahman? This is Brahman. No, it is not Brahman. All this is indeed Brahman, but we are seeing it in the form of name and form. So this idam, idantaya, thisness, that is the literal meaning of idanta. Idanta means thisness. You point to something and say this. So that state, Shastram, Vishaya Bhutam. When you say this, you automatically objectify. So objectification is a huge topic in many fields, in society, sociology, philosophy. For example, objectification of women. More such topics should be, one should talk about that more. But somehow in India, we don't talk. It should be talked of more. Outside India, they talk, but there also nothing is being done. They only talk. So objectification of women. So this means that is something which has to be seen as an object, like sense object. So if I have eyes, I say this, that means that is something which has to be seen by the eyes. I have tongue, I say this, that means that is something to be tasted by the tongue. I have nose, and I say this means it is something which has to be smelt by the nose. So that is an object of Vishaya, means Indriya Vishaya. So it is an object. So objectness or idanta, Vishaya Bhutam Brahma nahi pratipipadayishati. The Shastra, Veda, does not intend to, that means it does not present Brahman as an object, as the object of the word this. It does not present it as an object. Kim tarhi? So immediately the question is, then how does it present? Then in what manner does it present? Okay, it does not present it as an object. Then how does the Shastra or the Upanishads present Brahman as? Then Pratyagatmatvena avishayataya pratipadayat avidya kalpitam vedya veditra vedanadi vedam apanayati. See, some sentences of Shankaracharya, Shankaracharya beauty is he does not waste time. Blah, 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 blah. Some people, they will give talk. I am not talking about talk given from a dais or something. Phone talk. They will call and they will say, I want to urgently talk to you. Then 30 minutes will go away. Then what urgent? They also forgotten, and this person also is fed up. Actually, many years ago, it happened to me. One person called me. I was in the middle of some work. And I said, oh, please tell me what is this? No, I wanted to tell you something. Okay, please. That person is so unorganized, disorganized rather. After talking to me, first asking, how are you, how things are going on, etc., etc. And the joke is that person sees me every day and many times during the day. But over the phone, that person is asking, how are you, how is going on, etc., etc., how the works are going on, etc. Then finally, after 15-20 minutes, I asked, okay, so you said something urgent, what? Oh, I forgot that. I forgot that word. So blah, 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 blah. Then finally nothing will come out. Here, Shankaracharya is, of course, Shankaracharya is not like that. Such a wonderful intellect. Pratyagatmatvena avishayataya pratipadayat. Now, the Upanishads or the Vedas do not present Brahman as an object, as this, but pratyagatmatvena. Pratyak means inner, atma means self. So it presents as the inner self. I am Atma Brahma. This Atma is Brahman. So there, this does not mean external this, but internal. That means your Atma is Brahman. Tattvamasi, you are that. Okay. So see the connection. Pratyagatmatvena avishayataya, not as the object. conversely as the subject. The Vedas do not present Brahman as the object. Instead, they present Brahman as the subject. Pratyak Atmatvayena, by it being the indwelling self. I also don't know why this translation, indwelling self and all that. Inner self is better. So being the inner self also, if somebody cuts one's body, there is no self inside. There may be shelves. Heart has got 4 chambers. No, like that many shelves will be there. But no self is there inside. So it is not a location. The idea is that every jiva or whatever we see as an object separate from the rest is in fact one with the rest. That is why they say inside you Atma is there, inside you Atma is there. That means Atman alone is there. We are creating separation. Like space is there. Outside also space is there. Inside me also space is there. But is there any separation in space? There is no separation in space. There never was a separation in space. Similarly, Atman, there is no separation. I am creating separation. So what is there inside the separation is also Atman. Outside separation also is Atman. To give us that idea, the Upanishads or the Vedas say Pratyak Atman. So when we understand this, we have to understand it properly. Otherwise, we say Atman is inside you. Poor kid thinks, so inside me Atman is there. Means it is not like that. It is not physically inside one. Atman is there. So Pratyak Atmatvena, being by the state of being the inner self, means by the state of being object, no, by the state of being subject. Avishayataya. So you see Pratyak Atmatvena, immediately after that Shankaracharya says Avishayataya, not being object. So if one thinks Pratyak Atmatvena by being its inner self, so then immediately one may consider inner self itself as an object. That is why immediately he says Avishayataya, not being an object, Pratipadayat, it expresses. What expresses? The Upanishads, they express or explain, they present Atman or Brahman as inner self, not as an object. Avidya kalpitam. Why do they do that? By presenting this, Pratyegatmatvena Avishayataya Pratipadayat, by presenting in such a manner, Avidya kalpitam, that which is kalpitam, imagined, very clear. We should be very clear in translation. Kalpitam is imaginary. See, many people will try to say, oh, how it can be imaginary. Without tyaga, without detachment, nothing of Brahman can be understood. You cannot understand yourself. Why? Because you are holding on to wrong understanding. As long as you see snake or want to see snake, you cannot see the rope. So if you want to say that no, this universe has got its own existence, you can never see beyond this universe. So that is why it is kalpitam, it is imagined. Very important. It's very important to understand that this universe is imagined. It is not, many people will say, no, God has created. God, Advaita Vedanta will not allow you to have that kind of a thing. Swamiji says Advaita makes a person take all the responsibility on one's shoulder. It is for people who are courageous, who are bold. It is not for weak hearts. So, avidya kalpitam, of course, this is all imagined because of avidya, because of ignorance. Vedya, veditra, vedana. So, this is what is called Triputi Bheda. Vedya, veditra, vedana. So, Vedya means that which is known. Veditra means the knower. Vedana means knowledge, the process of knowledge. Vedana, process of knowledge. Adi Bhedam, all and so on. Adi, so on. Bhedam, difference. Apanayati, removes. So, by presenting Brahman as the subject, Shankaracharya is saying it in a negative manner, as not the object. And by presenting Brahman as being the inner self, what does the Veda do, or what do the Upanishads or Vedas do? They remove the distinctions or differences of knower, known, and knowledge, which are imagined because of ignorance. So whatever Shastra does, it. So now, are you reading Brahma Sutra? Yes, you are. But is Brahman studying Brahma Sutra? How can Brahman study Brahma Sutra? Brahman cannot and does not need also. So who is studying Brahma Sutra? A person who is Brahman, but because of ignorance is considering oneself as body and mind, is studying Brahma Sutra. As long as one person studies Brahma Sutra, or as long as one person considers oneself body and mind, can study Brahma Sutra, or as long as a person thinks that I am studying Brahma Sutra, cannot understand Brahman. So as long as you think that I am studying this, you cannot understand Brahman. So the whole point of Shastra Yonitva, the third sutra, is that the Shastra, by presenting Brahman as not outside, but you, that is what they say, no? Dashamas Tvamasi, Dashamaha Tvamasi. So this story everyone knows, but I just one group of 10 people, they were crossing a river using boat. And so after crossing, they wanted to check whether all of them had come, somebody had drowned or not. I don't understand the premise of the story, because why will suddenly somebody get drowned? And what were other people doing? They were sleeping or what? Anyway, so they go and they want to check, and everyone counts, and they count only 9 people. So they are all very much anxious, and they are all disturbed. Oh, what happened? We came 10 people. Where is the 9th? Where is the 10th person? So a passerby comes and they ask, oh, we want to find out the 10th person. One person has been lost. And the passerby counts and finds 10th person. Then everybody asks, I counted, I found only 9. So you are the 10th person. This is the idea. So the idea, this is oft quoted example in Vedanta to show that it is you who are the observer. You are the subject. You are the person who are seeing. You are the seer. Drik, Drishya, Viveka. So you are the Drik. You are not the Drishya. You are the seer, not the seen. So similarly, here also, the idea is that the difference of knower, knowledge, and known, which is basically in the realm of ignorance, which happens because of avidya, this difference, which is called Triputi Bheda, the triad of difference, to translate it in English, is removed by presenting Brahman as not object, non-object, as inner self. Tathacha Shastram Yasya Amatam Tasya Matam. Matam Yasya na Vedasaha Avigyatam Vijanatam Vigyatam Avijanatam. Kenopanishad. Just now what I was telling in a different manner. Tathacha Shastram. Further, the scripture says, what does it say? Shankaracharya quotes from the scripture. Yasya Amatam Tasya Matam. Matam Yasya na Vedasaha. Avigyatam Vijanatam Vigyatam Avijanatam. So Yasya, to whom, Amatam, it is not known, Tasya Matam, to that person it is known. Matam Yasya, to one who it is known, na Vedasa, that person has not known it. So a person who has not known has known it, and a person who has known it has not known it. What does it mean? Shankaracharya, Sri Ramakrishna says that tar iti tana jabena, in Bengali he says about God. That means one cannot draw a boundary or limit to God. That is the idea. One cannot draw a limit to God. You cannot put God in a pigeonhole. You cannot compartmentalize God. You cannot say God is only this. That's why when Mahendranath Gupta, he goes to meet Sri Ramakrishna, he asks this question: is God with form or without form? Is a question he asks. That these are the profound questions we, try to tackle without experiencing. We want to only tackle this kind of question. So he also asked. So Sri Ramakrishna said, God is with form, without form, and more than that also. In Bengali he said, Sakar, Nirakar, Aro Koto Kichu. Means also so many other things. Now that is the problem. So many other things. We know. Then he writes in the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna, in Bengali original, Sri Ramakrishna Kathamrita, he writes, till now we have heard only of either with form or without form. What is this? More than that also so many things. So afterwards, one day he says, Tar iti tana jabena, means of God, you cannot put any kind of boundary. So if you think you have known, you have not known. If you think you have not known, you might have known. That Agyani also can say, I am not known. But that Agyani has not known. But you might have known. That's the idea. Avijñātam vijanatam. It is unknown to those who know it properly. Vijanatam avijñātam. And avijanatam vijñātam. And to those who do not know it, they know it. So there are many aspects to this wonderful statement from the Kena Upanishad. One simple aspect is this. This knowledge is not, and that aspect one cannot overemphasize, for the simple reason I am so much amazed and surprised every time how people don't understand this simple thing. Every time they will say, oh Swamiji, but then knower of Brahman means what? That person is also knowing Brahman only like we know this. No. So you are saying knowledge happens only at the level of mind, Swamiji. So this is also in the level of mind. For a lack of better language, we are using the word knowledge. Brahma Jnana is nothing like any other Jnana. For the lack of better language. So Brahma Jnana, then, if there is Brahma Jnana, that means somebody is knowing. There is somebody who is knowing Brahman. No, there is no somebody who is knowing Brahman. Brahman knows itself. So then why are you using the word knowledge? These are the often frequent objections posed by so-called scholars and people who think they have known it all. That's the problem. Know-it-alls are the problem. So that is the thing. That here we are using jnana, the word jnana, vijanatam, knows, etc. Vijñātam, all that we are using for the want of better words. But this knowledge of Brahman does not happen like you know something. No. Because the medium of knowledge is also itself not there. There is no medium. It is immediate perception. Aparoksha anubhuti, aparoksha jnana. So that is why first thing we have to understand, if you think it can be known, you cannot know it. Because whatever you know is through this Triputi Bheda. The process of knowledge, there is one known and there is one knower. But Brahman is beyond that. So if you think it is a object of knowledge, it is wrong. That is what Shankaracharya is proving here, that it is not object of knowledge. But at the same time, that it is not object of knowledge is being told to us by the Shastras. No? Other than the Shastras, where do we find this information that it is not the object of knowledge? So that is why it is Shastra Yonitvat. So Shastra Yonitvat, it is the source or the means of knowledge of Brahman is Vedas. When one says that the source of or the means of destruction of ignorance is the Vedas, that is what we have to understand. The source of or the means of knowledge of Brahman, when we say it might be confusing. The source or the means of destruction of ignorance is the Vedas, are the Vedas. Further he says, na drishtehe drashtaram pashyehe, na shrutehe shrotaram shrunuya. He says means it is quotation from the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. Na shrutehe shrotaram shrunuyaha, na matehe mantaram manvithaha, na vijñatehe vijñataram vijaniyaha iti cha eva madhi. Further, like this, other things are also there. Such passages are also there, like from the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, na drishtehe drashtaram. So, na drishtehe drashtaram. So, one cannot, you can only see the drishya, you cannot see the drik. You can only see the scene. You cannot see the seer. That is the idea. So, na drishtehe drashtaram pashyehe. So, na drishtehe of the scene. Drashtaram na pashyehe. Drashtaram the seer. Na pashyehe. You cannot see. So, you cannot see the seer of the scene. What drik, whatever you see, drishya, a person who is seeing drik. So drik you cannot see, you can only see the drishya. Why drik you cannot see? Because you are drik. That's why you cannot see drik. You are the seer, dashamat tvamasi. That's why I reminded you of that illustration. You are the seer, so how can you see the seer? You are the seer. You don't have to see it, so it cannot be objectified. And also, na shrutehe shrotaram shrunuyaha. You cannot hear the hearer. Hearer you cannot hear, because you are the hearer. You can only hear the sound. You cannot only hear the sound. You cannot hear the hearer. Na matehe mantaram manvithaha. You cannot think the thinker. You cannot think of the thinker. You can only think a thought. Thought you can think, but you cannot think of the thinker of the thought. Nicely confusing. One person I know, he used to say, if you cannot convince, confuse. He says even now, he used to say, he says now also. Jokingly he says, the point is that you cannot see what is behind the apparent. Behind the apparent, what is there, you cannot see. Only when you transcend the apparent, the other example which I gave about the computer screen and projector screen, that's what is here. As long as there is something on the screen, you cannot see the screen. So you have to go beyond the apparent to see the real. So you cannot think of the thinker of a thought. You cannot see the seer of a scene. You cannot hear the hearer of a sound. Na vijñate vijñataram vijaniya. Similarly, you cannot know the knower of knowledge. That means what? This knowledge involves ignorance. Knowledge involves ignorance. As long as you are saying aham vedmi, as long as you are saying I know, you are ignorant, because you are caught up in the distinction of Triputi. Known, there is something to be known, and there is someone who is knowing, and there is a process of knowledge. Triputi Veda. So that is what here Vedya, Veditra, Vedana. Vedana is the process of knowledge. Vedya is that which is known. Veditra is the knower. So as long as one says that I have to know, the person does not know. So you have to transcend this triad of knowledge. You have to go beyond this. Only then you can know the knower. But can you know the knower? No, you can know yourself. You can know yourself. So that's why some saints will say, know yourself. That's why Bhagavan Buddha said, Atma Deepo Bhava. So you be your own light, because the light is not put on something and it is not illumining some object. You are illumining yourself. How can you illumine yourself? You are already illumined. So remove ignorance. That's what Shankaracharya is saying in a different language. So many ways he is saying that atah, therefore, avidya kalpita sansaritva nivartanena nitya mukta atma swarupa samarpanat na mokshasya anityatva doshaha. Atah, therefore, by nivartanena, removing avidya kalpita samsaritva, the state of being a samsari, that means the state of being in a transmigratory existence, the state of being in the state of repeated birth and repeated death, which is imagined, kalpita, by avidya, by ignorance, superimposition, maya, ignorance, ajnana, avidya, adhyasa, that which is imagined. Why imagined? Even when I think that I am dying again and again, and I am getting born again and again, even then my true nature is Atman. Even then, even when I am thinking, so many people will say, oh, that is wonderful. So what is the whole purpose of all studying this and all that? Why do we need to do Shrotavya, Mantavya, Nididhyasitavya, all that? It has to be done. You have to think, you have to reflect, you have to contemplate. What is the point? Even when I am not knowing that I am Atman, I am Atman. No. So what is the point? That kind of logic many people present. And that is idiotic logic. Why idiotic logic? Suppose you have got, say, 100 crores rupees in some bank account. You don't know that you have this bank account. Even when you don't know that you have this bank account, that bank account belongs to you. So does it serve the purpose? No, it does not. Why? Because dukkha is there. So bank account 100 crores is there. Here you don't have money to spend because you don't know that you have such a bank account somewhere. Like that, if you don't know that you are Brahman, if that knowledge is not there, it is covered by ignorance. It is true that your true nature does not change, but you don't know that. So you are caught up in the dukkha. And that is why Shankaracharya says, Muda Mate, oh foolish people. He says in the Viveka Chudamani also, he says, Muda, you're all foolish if you, after getting the human birth and after getting a good guru, after coming to know about the scriptures, you still don't strive for moksha, you are a mudha. And also you commit suicide. It's like committing suicide. In Viveka Chudamani, Shankaracharya says. So that is what here, by its removal of the transmigratory existence, which has been imagined because of ignorance, and also samarpanat, by presenting, because of it presenting, it means here Vedas presenting nitya, eternal, mukta, always free, atma swarupa, the nature of Atman, na mokshasya anityatva dosha. So because of that, there is no defect, dosha, defect of being temporary as far as moksha is concerned. So moksha is not temporary. Why? Because moksha removes that which is temporary. Moksha removes that which is temporary. It removes the covering. So the whole point of doing sadhana, it's very important. We have to understand this. The whole point of doing sadhana is not to bring knowledge of Brahman, but to remove the ignorance of Brahman. So that is what we have to understand. Avidya nivartana is the purpose. Avidya nivartana is the purpose. Removal of ajnana is the purpose, not bringing knowledge of Brahman. Though for many times we say, also in the scriptures it is said, Brahmajnana, Brahmajnana, Brahmavit, etc. Knower of Brahmavit, Shokam Tarati Atmavit. Chandogya Upanishad says all these places it is said that you know Brahman. And because of saying like that, we somehow think that knowing calculus, knowing Brahman, knowing cooking, everything is same. No, it is not. So here, when you transcend the process of knowledge, you come to know, you understand, or you don't, when you know that it is not something which you are seeking outside, it is not paroksha jnana, it is aproksha anubhuti, then to know that you have to be first away from paroksha jnana. So you have to first cut this ignorance. And once this ignorance is cut, immediately this knowledge or this comes. So that is what is explained by Shankaracharya. Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Tat Sat Shri Ram Krishna Arpanamastu.
Pranam Swamiji.
Namaste.
Pranam Swamiji.
Namaste, namaste.
Namaste, Swamiji. Swamiji, I have a doubt. You said that this Brahma is as same as space, which is outside and inside also.
No, I was just giving an illustration. It's not same as space. Just giving an illustration. Just like space is outside and inside same, similarly, Brahman is also only there. The difference is caused by our imagination, where we find differences.
So that
Yes. So what was the question?
As space, so the ignorance that is created because space we cannot see. We can feel air, we can know time, but space we cannot see. So in the same sense is Brahman is also in the same.
No, space cannot be seen.
Yes, because in the 5 sense organs which you mentioned, we cannot experience space in these 5 sense organs, but we live in it. That's my understanding. Is it right? Or...
Actually, in the scriptures, space has been connected with sound. So it is not that space cannot be perceived. Space can be perceived by the sound. Space is Akasha. Akasha, the sense object of Akasha is sound. Shabda. Vayu, the sense object is, or the sense object, yes, is touch, Vayu. So space, traditionally in all the scriptures, space has been connected with the object of sound. But I understand what you're saying. Like you're saying that if I see, if I cannot perceive space, no, but in practice, we do perceive space, right? When you see space, you do see space.
But it's like I'll give an illustration. So when if there is an illustration like a fish wanting to know water.
You mean this in it is seemingly limitless? Is that what you are hinting at?
Yes, Swamiji. Because space is limitless, right?
So you cannot see the boundary of space, but you do perceive space. They are two different things. fish wanting to know?
Water. It lives
It
in the
does
water.
know water, right?
It lives in the water, but it doesn't know water.
No, it does not know the boundaries of water. They're two different things.
Swamiji, can you please clarify?
The simple, it does not know the limits of water. It does know water, no? It drinks water, it lives in water.
Yes.
But it does not know the limit, means the entire boundary it does not know. Logically speaking, they are two different things.
Yeah,
For
yes.
example, I go to a restaurant and I order some food and eat. I don't know the entire food available in the restaurant. I don't need to know. But I do know the food like that. So that is a different aspect actually.
Yes, Swamiji. That's
Hmm.
right, Swamiji.
So here also, when we, for that matter, it is true with all the sense perception. When I hear
Hello?
sound, I don't know all sound that can be heard. Is it not?
Hello?
Are you means able to follow? Hello? Hello? Hello, can you hear me?
We can hear you, Swamiji.
So there's no response. Could you follow what I was saying? Tras Brahma ji?
Network problem, I think, Swamiji. I think his network has some problem.
It's all a problem of net. Maya Jala. Is there any question? Other
Swamiji,
can you hear me? Hello?
the last part about I didn't hear. Hello?
Can you hear?
Yeah, Swamiji, please.
What happened? Last part, what?
The boundary part you're telling it. The two things are logically they are different.
Yeah. So, I was giving the example of food in restaurant. You go to a restaurant. Can you hear me? I think he has got
Food in the restaurant. Yes.
Yes. Is there any
Yes.
connectivity issue with you?
Yes, Swamiji, I have a little connectivity issue here.
Yeah. So food in the restaurant, you have some food, you order and have some food, but you don't know the entire quantity of the food in the restaurant. So it is true with all sense perception.
Understood,
That you don't know all sound there is to be heard. You don't touch whatever there is to be touched, etc. So
Thank you,
that
Swamiji.
is a different aspect. But you do see space, you do perceive space. Okay, so space can be perceived. What I was telling was different. What I was telling was that whatever distinctions we make, that are distinctions which are imagined. Like in space, there is space, then you build some walls and you say that is your house. So the space inside the house and the space outside the house are not different. Could you hear that? Okay. Smriti, could you hear that?
We are able to hear, Swamiji.
Okay. So is there any other question? Are there any other questions? No. Do you have any questions, Smriti?
No, Swamiji, no question.
Okay. So then we will stop it here. Okay.